No one ever asked her name. Not once in 3 years. They just called her Miss Ruth. No title, no badge, just a faded name tag and an old mop bucket. Every morning at the Hollowbridge Shelter, long before the volunteers showed up and long after they left, Ruth was there, sweeping, scrubbing, folding blankets, replacing cracked light bulbs. She never spoke much, just nodded. To the world, she was just the cleaner. To the residents, she was background. But every night, long after the doors closed, people forgot she slept in that shelter too. Same rows of cots, same stale air, same whispered prayers into worn blankets. She had her corner, a small locker, a cat that squeaked when it breathed, and one secret, a battered composition notebook. Page after page, written in neat handwriting, names, dates, faces. She remembered them all. One night after a food drive, a young volunteer named Marcus laughed with his friends. "She's always mopping, but the floor is still sticky. You'd think a janitor would care." Ruth didn't flinch. She just kept working. Later that night, Marcus walked to his car. On his windshield was a folded note. "The floor you mock just caught a man's tears." He never mocked her again. The rain began around midnight, a storm stronger than Hollowbridge had seen in years. Within hours, the streets turned into rivers. The shelter's basement, where most of the supplies were stored, began to flood. The staff panicked. Phones rang, people yelled. No one noticed Ruth was already gone. By the time they realized, she had been downstairs for 45 minutes, water up to her waist, hauling canned goods onto higher shelves, stacking sleeping mats on tables, dragging boxes of medication to safety. Someone shouted, "We need help down here." When help finally arrived, Ruth was sitting on the last step, soaked, shivering, smiling. "We saved most of it," she whispered. "Not I. We." The next morning, as the storm died down, people walked through the shelter in quiet awe. Nothing was missing. Nothing was ruined. Because Ruth had already saved it. Two weeks later, a new director arrived. Shauna Reynolds, efficient, sharp, all numbers and funding proposals. But one morning, she noticed a line outside the shelter that wrapped around the block. She asked why. A resident said, "Ruth's still here." Confused, Shauna followed the crowd into the dining hall. There, beside a dusty old corkboard, stood Ruth. Pinned across it were Polaroid photos, each one beside a name handwritten in black ink. Veterans, mothers, teens, addicts, teachers. Ruth had kept their names, their stories, their recovery dates. "No one here disappears," Ruth said softly. "Not if I can help it." She didn't cry, but Shauna did. That afternoon, Shauna announced a new policy. "We are creating a full-time position, Resident Liaison of Memory and Dignity. Ruth, if you'll have it, it's yours." Ruth just nodded, quiet as ever. But the next morning, her corner was empty. In its place, a folded blanket, a polished mop, and her notebook placed gently on the cot. On the front page, written in perfect handwriting, "I remember them all, so now you can too."